But that literally is the quickest build and tune job we've ever done.
Yeah.
Was it not?
Yeah. You kept shooting the same tear for me that time. We didn't have to play.
That never happened. I never do that for you. Guys, I'm here at the Baku Center, Weber County Archery, home of Douglas Archery. We're gonna meet up with Kyle and we're gonna do my 2022 bow build. Now I kind of put it together for my archery coos hunt, but we're gonna strip it down. We got the new Hamsky rest that was made for this new bow, and we're gonna put it all together again. So here we go. There's the man, the myth, the legend. Want to have a shoot off?
Shoot, sure.
I'll take all your money.
Oh yeah.
Hey, he doesn't look too worried. All right, so we're gonna pull everything off, and we're gonna put it together and do a video of us putting it together. So I have the old Trinity rest on it. We're gonna put this new Epsilon rest on. So, oh, I have the new quiver too.
Okay, so we're pulling all that stuff off too then.
Yeah.
Today and Saturday, but
Do you ever take your quiver off?
I don't take mine off now because I've tuned my bow and sighted in with the quiver on.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kyle. Let's do start with the rest. Have you installed many of these yet?
Yeah.
Cool. Any tricks with them or?
Yeah, a couple little things, nothing major. Screws are always, well, without the bracket on it, but these screws are pretty loose from the factory a lot of times. Just need to make sure those are good and tight. Usually on this Epsilon especially, it's easier to put the felt on before you install the rest, because then you can kind of get your fingers all the way around it.
This rest looks a little lighter too. Like
Yeah.
it should probably save some weight. I don't know.
Yeah,
how
it's a
much.
lot slimmer and lighter. They're an awesome rest. I absolutely love these things. Yeah, they'll fit anything. Just you've got to have the different bracket. You can't have the Matthews bracket.
Okay.
They have just a universal bracket, and then they're working on getting, trying to get all the bow companies to drill holes in their riser, to drill in the back of the riser here, so they can mount directly onto that without having to use the burger hole on the side.
Okay.
Which would be pretty sweet if everybody would come on board. So on these new Epsilons, they're basically just like a sleeker, slimmer version of the Trinity. So everything's gonna kind of fit behind the riser here. Like on these Matthews, you have the Matthews approved bracket here, so everything just fits, directly onto the riser. There can't be no slop or anything anywhere. So everything just works super slick. There's not a whole lot of tricks with them really. Usually I put the felt on these guys before I put them on the bow, just because it's kind of hard to fit in your fingers in here and stuff. And they've got some really nice like micro adjust clicks and stuff now. So your micro adjust, it actually clicks, has a bead in there.
So when you're tuning it?
So when you're tuning it, you just loosen it up and then you can click it left and right or up and down. They've got this new little rebound dampener here.
Tell me about that.
So it replaces the spring that was on the rest here. So all this does is it makes it so that the rest isn't going to bounce back up. Like as your arrow's leaving the bow, you don't want it to come back up and touch your veins or something like that. So it's just gonna hit and the rest is gonna stay down. And that's just gonna act as a spring where that cord is snaked through there. So when you pull on it, it just stretches a little bit. One thing with this though, you gotta run a lot more cord tension on there, because with the spring you didn't want to put a whole lot of tension on it because you'd overstretch the spring. This guy you gotta stretch quite a bit to get the same springiness effect. I like to run it so that it's all the way down against the limb here. Sometimes if it's running up a little bit higher, it'll actually like vibrate a little bit, and it may go and like whack your cam or something like that. So usually if you run all the way against the limb, it can't really move as much. But we've already got the pad here on this bow, but normally I would adjust where the pad is tied on the limb to adjust the timing of the rest. So
Gotcha.
what we're looking for is when we go to like let down your bow or when it shoots, as long as your arrow's cut short, we want it to start to drop about halfway through the shaft, maybe a little bit in front of halfway through the shaft. That way you've got a pretty big sweet spot for where the rest is going to drop it. If you drop it too soon, it's not going to stabilize the arrow enough. So you're going to get a lot of like low tears through paper. It'll change your point of impact. And then if your cord stretches or anything just a little bit, it's totally going to throw things out of whack. And then if it's too late, you run into like fletching contact issues and stuff. So we just kind of want it right in the middle where we've got the biggest sweet spot. Normally I tie these on the outside of the limb here on most bows, but on that new Matthews quiver, usually you've got to run the cord to the inside of the limb so that it stays out of the way.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Just eyeballing that center.
Yeah, so usually you want to start with just a little bit downhill because that's how most of them are going to tune.
So just a little high.
Little knock high usually is where most bows are gonna like to tune. You never really know until you shoot them through paper, but that's kind of my starting point. So we're gonna set your center shot and knock height before we tie down the rest.
Okay.
If we tie down the rest, then we kind of don't know where we're at. You know, you can't like cock it up or nothing on these ones. So usually on these ones, they're pretty well preset from the factory to be kind of close. That's kind of one of their ideas. They're calling it like a center shot optimized rest, which you never trust anything 100% from the factory. You've always got to adjust things just a little bit. But
so you're just eyeballing it, center of the rest?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys say on Matthews to go like 13/16 from the riser, but that's honestly, it's just a starting point. So usually I just kind of run it down the center of the bow. We'll shoot it through paper. If it's really close, we'll bump the rest in or out just a tad to get rid of the tear. If it's a very big tear, then we'll move your top hats and adjust your cam spacing to get rid of the tear. So on these rest cords, that string will kind of like work its way into the grooves here in the rubber, and the cord will stretch just a little bit. So when I first set these up, I pull them pretty tight, clamp them off. So you'll see that rest is held down tight here. But then as soon as I go ahead and try and stretch in this cord a little bit, put a lot of tension here, you see how it's stretching into the rubber there. Oops. Now you look at it and the rest is all the way up. So we're just trying to pre-stretch that in so you're not out there hunting and that thing starts creeping up on you as you shoot it more and more and more. So kind of let it settle a little bit and see where it wants to be, and then we'll retighten that. And usually they don't move a whole heck of a lot after that. They may stretch in a little bit when they're brand new, but that gets most of it out of them. Anything we can do to eliminate problems in the future, we're gonna do.
That's a good place to start, right?
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, everybody likes to set them in a little different spot. Some guys like to run them farther. Some guys like to run them back in.
Does it matter?
Yeah, it depends on what you're trying to do with it. Like if you're trying to torque tune and stuff like that, then yes, moving the sight in and out will adjust that. If you're not worried about torque tuning or anything like that, not really. The farther out you move it, the bigger your tape's going to get. The farther in you move it, your tape's going to get a little smaller, so you may get a little bit more max distance out of it when it's in closer.
Oh, okay. Is that a good medium, or do you think it needs to go back?
Yeah, it's kind of in the middle. It's just totally up to you. And it will change a little bit of how the scope housing looks in relation to your peep. Like it'll get a little bigger when it's in closer and a little smaller when it gets out farther. But you can kind of play with that, but just know that if you move it, you'll have to adjust your tape and stuff. What we're doing when we're doing third. So third's a little weird.
You've sent one in there, huh?
Yeah, not me, but somebody did, yes. Somebody had a preemie on the third axis level.
I don't think that was here last time.
No, that's pretty recent. First and second axis on a bow sight, we're just basically leveling the bubble to the sight rail basically, and then like the bubble to the bow. So all that's doing is making sure that your left and right will track straight all the way out through all the distances, because your sight's moving straight up and down, and then the bubble reads level when your bow is vertical. But third axis is totally opposite. So it's for shooting up and downhill, but it's actually like, instead of being on this axis, it's actually on this axis. So like if your sight was cockeyed, so say it was twisted totally like that, if your bow was pointed straight, on flat ground you'd never know. You just adjust your sight to adjust for it. But if it's cockeyed, so if it's twisted like this, now aim that downhill, now your bubble's gonna run, and then you're gonna tilt your bow to get it leveled up, and then you're gonna miss left or right, up and downhill. So we gotta do that with the Hamsky level, because it'll take into account all like the torque from your cable rod, and different things on your bow, really different weights on your bow. Like I've even seen stabilizer weights and stuff change third axis on a bow. So we'll just check that at full draw.
Okay.
Looks nice.
Tighten her up.
Look at that, it even matches perfectly.
I know. Pretty color.
Just gonna check the timing on here and make sure that it's set where we want it. Usually the bottom is just a tad bit ahead. Another little sneaky little trick on these timings on these bows. A lot of times you put a half twist in them and like it'll flip. So where the bottom's ahead a little bit, if I put a half twist, a lot of times it'll totally flip and then the top will be more ahead. So you just take these little yoke pieces here. I haven't seen a whole lot of guys do this. But you take one of your little yokes or both of them. If I can get them out of there. And add just a little bit of twist into this. So it just kind of like fine tunes things instead of like a big twist. That'll just barely move things. So you can kind of get a little bit more precise.
You just need to do it on one side or both?
Either one. Yeah, when the bottom cam hits first, either you can, you're adding a little bit of twist to this cable here. So whether you do it on the bottom end of it or the top end of it, it's the same thing. And you could take twist out of this other cable here too if you wanted to, and that would do the same thing. That's what we're looking for.
Timing is on.
Timing is money. Okay, now here's the part of the video where we always get the crazy comments that I shot the bow through paper. Do you want to shoot it?
I'll shoot it, so that way, even though you explain it, people still get mad at you, don't they?
They do. It's just easier for me to get it close, and then have you shoot it to double check that way, or not have to swap back and forth.
And disclaimer, because I know, and here's the other place where people get funny. I'm not a professional archer. I have horrible form, so I'm always learning. So other disclaimer. So we're gonna tune it, and we're gonna shoot it through paper here. So.
Oh no.
What?
This just got a low tear in it. We'll get rid of that.
Because the fletching, there's the arrow and there's the fletching, right?
Yeah, so it's kicking down.
So that's a low share.
So the arrow's coming out of the bow like that. So we're trying to get it to where it's coming out, to where it's perfectly, basically what we're looking for. They call it a bullet hole, but your veins are centered on your arrow hole. That's what we're looking. So right now that's like what?
So what adjustment are we gonna make for that?
You can either move your rest down or your D-loop up.
Okay.
So there's, well, we're already probably gonna have to redo the peep anyways. We'll just bump the D-loop up just a tad.
Okay.
I just think it was bad form.
It was that too.
I'll talk closer.
Dang, that's perfect, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. I'd say that'll work. 2-shot bullet hole.
So we're gonna tie a knock set in there now. It only took 2 shots to get that perfectly tuned. So
we'll have to double check it after we put the knock set in here because that could change. But sometimes it's easier to get it close, put the knock set, and then recheck it rather than have to like tie and untie your knock set 100 times if you're wanting to move your D-loop up and down a little bit.
Some of the final touches you're going to put on?
We're just going to like tie off the rest here and stuff, cut this cord. We'll make sure like the peep twist is good. We're going to have to check his peep height, but usually I would like make sure that the peep twist is good. Just kind of the last little stuff. But on this rest cord, I like to tie half hitches around here just so that I have extra to hold on to. Like if I need to adjust it later on, I don't want like a little bitty tag and I'm trying to pull on. I like to have this. So let's tie these on here so they kind of stay out of the way, but then you've got more to work with if you need it later on. Good, here, let's check your peep height.
I haven't shot that well through paper for that consistent for a while. Maybe I'm just maturing in my archery career. I don't have an archery career, but there you have it. The quickest tune job and bow build job we've probably ever done together. Subscribe to the Muley Freak YouTube channel. Leave us a comment. Ask this master of his craft a question, and we'll catch you on the next video. And also, check him out at Douglas Archery here in Ogden, Utah. This guy will get you dialed.
We'll set them up.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah.